Moving on to the Dallas Cowboys, and we are officially 2 weeks away from NFL kickoff. Dallas Cowboys go against the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Micah Parsons still has not been re-signed, and he's still dressing out at this indoor practice at the Star, the headquarters facility for the Dallas Cowboys. But it is kind of concerning that they haven't made any headway, as we've seen in some recent reports. So I don't know if Parsons and his team is going to fold because it doesn't look like Jerry Jones is budging at any point. But that is kind of concerning, and I don't know where you stand with that right now. But with the kickoff officially 2 weeks away, I'm starting to feel a little nervous for these Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really see him budge that much, Jerry Jones, that is, though. Like, this is
Yeah.
something that always seems to happen. This is a big thing that happened with Dak Prescott. A lot of people were just like just getting paid at this point. Um, I I mean, you said it right there. I mean, we were 2 weeks away from the regular season, and Micah Parsons isn't practicing with the team. We've talked about this a lot on the podcast. His best parts of the season are at the beginning of the season. So, I mean, hey, devil's advocate right here. Hold him out, re-sign him, halfway through the season. Maybe he has that strong start of the season, late into the season instead of, kind of dropping off his production. I'm just joking, obviously. Obviously, get him signed as quick as possible. But I mean, yeah, it's I don't know if he's doing this for leverage, still coming to the stuff, still attending the practices and the games and such. But I mean, I don't know if we need, it's just it's so tiring. That's all I'll say, actually. So tiring.
I get why players hold out. I will say, I appreciate him still showing up. Some dudes will not even go to a practice and flat out dress out, even though they're not going to participate. I think that's pretty cool, honestly, that he's still trying to support his guys, even though he's not actually playing and he's still fighting for his contract. I think it's good that he's still dressing out in pads and shells, at least we saw last night, or 2 nights ago, depending on when you're watching this. But they had their indoor practice at the Star facility, their headquarters in Frisco, Texas. And there's a highlight play that happened between Dak and George Pickens. Really nice catch down the sideline. You could argue it could have been led more down the field for a potential touchdown, but it was a good throw and catch. Really nice coverage by the corner. I don't know who it was right now off the top of my head, but it was a really solid throw and catch from George Pickens. And you have to think that he's likely, the best first-time Pro Bowl candidate that this Cowboys roster could have this year. I am really excited for George Pickens on this roster. How do you feel about him 2 weeks away from the season?
I feel really excited, but again, with him being in his contract year, it's just like another frustrating process that we're going to have to go through probably throughout the season or next off season at the beginning. Hopefully, this is somebody who we can retain. But I mean, I'm excited, obviously. I think that when you go like a couple years of the wide receiver core being Cavante Turpin, Jalen Tolbert, and CeeDee Lamb, I think you get a little bit tired of the receiving core being not the best. So I'm happy to see that that Jerry, although of course we have a lot of differences on how we see how this team should be built and how it should be ran, but I do think that it was very good that yeah, the receiving core. It's good to know that he finally started to care about it. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean George Pickens is going to be very good. Wide receivers are last in separation in the league for the last couple years, and having somebody like that who's going to take a little bit of attention away from CeeDee Lamb and maybe even some of the other receivers, and hopefully will allow them to get a little bit more open so they're not making challenging catches. Hey, I don't see any disadvantage in that. Hopefully, it's more than a season.
Well, unfortunately, since the last time we had a podcast, one of our receivers in this receiving core got hurt in Jonathan Mingo, who they traded for last season. And, very disappointing to see that, but he should be out. It's looking like 4 to 6 weeks with a PCL sprain, so he's going to start the season likely on IR. Very disappointing. But before we move on,
What ha That trade still makes no sense. That's like almost like Caleb Martin for Quinn Grimes type deal. Like what was going through Jerry Jones's head when he decided to trade for Jonathan Mingo? It's not even like, I mean, the second round pick is insane, but you're talking about a guy who made no impact when he got traded here. But this preseason, before he even got injured, there's no, I mean, not making a huge impact. Not somebody who's, you know, popping out and, somebody who's an eye opener. I mean, it is such an embarrassing trade.
Yeah.
Might be one of the worst that Jerry has done, might I add. It
I
is
will say it was a fourth
insanely
round
awful.
pick. It was a fourth round pick, in all
A fourth
fairness.
round
It
pick,
was a
fourth round
fourth round.
pick. I thought it was a second round pick. I'm so sorry.
At least it was, it's still very disappointing that you give up a pick and for a guy who really hasn't done much since. But I will say the trade deadline or the final cuts are August 26th. So that's coming up right around the corner, and season is almost here in 2 weeks. And before we get out here, this new Cowboys documentary is making waves across Netflix, which I am not watching, by the way. I can't take it anymore. Reminiscing off the 90s. It is what it is. It's getting people in my family talking like my sister, who is not the biggest sports fan, but even she is watching. But I look at the stuff and I'm like, it's more of the same. I sent you that reel of them on the red carpet, just cracking those jokes and stuff, and rolling out the red carpet for all the Cowboys legends and Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones, and it's just more of the same. If there was a microcosm, I used that word earlier for the Rangers about how their season was, but that right there, reminiscing on the past, is what the Cowboys have been in this modern era. And I wish they can just hone in on the present, hone in on the roster they have, and improving this D line, improving this front seven. Because right now against the run, I don't know if we're looking good. I've heard some good things about Solomon Thomas, some better things about Osa Digizua. But man, this team, I think they have potential. I think their ceiling is 11 wins. We'll go through our predictions next week, more in full length. But I really am like, it's an open book with this team for me, to be honest with you. I don't know. I can see 6 wins. I can see 11 wins. I
I
don't
think
know.
that that's what happens with this roster a lot, though. But I mean, going back to that documentary, it is like it's such an entertainment thing. Like, I just couldn't like seriously like if the Cubs never won a World Series in 2016, I know that this is a lot more than 30 years. It would have been what, like 115, 120
Yeah,
wins
by
at this
now
point.
it'd be 100 and
Yeah, something
like
between 115
17.
and
Yeah.
120. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, could you just imagine them doing like a documentary about like their 1908 World Series or something like that? I mean, I think this is a horrible example. Never mind, scratch all that. But like, I mean, just like there's no team. My point is, there's no team that is going to make a documentary when they are in the midst of a huge, huge, huge drought other than the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones. I think it's just so it's embarrassing. But I mean it's kind of the life of a Cowboys fan at this point. You got to get used to it. So I mean I can't say that I feel anything like feel really disgusted because it's kind of expected at this point.
Yeah, man, sadly. But season's right around the corner, 2 weeks away. As we post this, fantasy football is up and running in our league, in our sports broadcasting league at Texas Student Television. Just did our draft a few days ago. Pretty pleased with my roster. I don't know about you,
Oh yeah.
but
They ranked me number one, by the way. Number one out
they
of 12.
did.
I had the 12th pick. Yeah, they ranked me number one
Hey,
in
hey,
ESPN.
man, put up a masterclass.